morning from Town Station Honey Farm. Today, well, let's go back to yesterday. Yesterday we took and made pumpkin puree, and we went all the way through that if you want to watch the earlier video. But here's our pumpkin puree, and I told you today we were going to come back and make a nice fall favorite, which is pumpkin cheesecake. So first of all, we have to have our springform pan, and then we have to have a sheet to go under it, because this sheet we're going to put water in, because you're going to want to set your pan down in that. Now, before we go to any of that though, we're going to make our crust. Now most cheesecakes have graham cracker crust. This one's going to have ginger snaps crust, and they are really very good, especially on this kind of cheesecake. So what you want to do, instead of me getting out my big processor, I'm just putting it in the little small chopper that I got. And just take, and we're going to make 2 cups of our cookies. So Mr. Barnes is going to cut that off a few minutes so you won't hear this horrible sound.
You're on.
Oh, okay. Now, we're back. We've got 2 cups of just ginger snap crumbs that I just processed. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and add a ½ cup of brown sugar. Now, you'll notice I have a cup in there, but I'm going to use it for other purposes. So I'm going to use a ½ cup of brown sugar in there. Other ½ cup, and I'm going to take, and I've measured out 3 tablespoons of just plain all-purpose flour, and it's going to go in there. And I'm going to stir that up with just a fork to make sure it's. Now what you're wanting to do here is you're simply wanting to make your crust. Everybody's made crust for cheesecake. I mean, it's just simply graham crackers most usually, but since this is a pumpkin one, you want a little bit more spice to that. So you're putting that in there. Now we have 4 tablespoons of melted butter, not margarine, butter, because margarines have plastics in them. They are really not good for you. Stir this up. Now this is going to be kind of a consistency of cornmeal when you're done. It's going to still be dry, but what you want to do is when you pinch it together, it's going to kind of clump for you, and I'll show that to you in just a second. Now see, whenever you take and you pinch it, it's clumping together. That means on the bottom of your cheesecake, it will take and it will hold together when you cut it. Now what we're going to do with our cheesecake pan, we've got it here. The thing that you want to do with that is you want to use your non-stick cooking spray, because you don't want it to stick to your pan where you can't get it out. Now, just take and put your crumbs inside your pan. And just take your fingers, make sure your hands are clean by the way, and just press it down in the bottom of your pan. Now, I like mine up on my sides a little bit, so I take and push it around there too. But just put an even coat right on the bottom of your pan, and up toward the sides a little bit. Now you want to press this into a firm crust. So, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of aluminum foil, as such, and I'm going to take and put it around the outside of the pan. Now, you say, why are you doing that? Well, because this is going to bake in water. And, I mean, I don't know if water can get in one of these or not. I have no idea. All I know is I don't want it to, because, you know, that would ruin my cheesecake. So I always do this. Now I'm just going to make it to come up around it. Kind of like a little outside pan is going to be around that. Now I'm just going to set it over here. This is the pan I'm going to put the water down in, and this pan will set right here on top. And you're going to have a water bath going on around your cheesecake, so that way your crust won't worry too much or anything. I'll be back in just a second when we get ready to do the filling. Hi, I'm back. Okay, I had to get the brown sugar out. So the next thing I'm going to do, I have got cream cheese. Now I've got this at room temperature, and there's 4 of them. We're going to put that in our mixer. So, like I say, these are room temperature. So before you just put them out on your counter about an hour before you go to make your cheesecake, and it'll take care of that. That out of the way. Rub the cheese off my hands so I can touch something. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, if you wonder what I'm doing, I've got a list down here because my memory's not any good. I have senior moments anymore. But, I'll have another story. I'll tell you about my life in a little while. Okay, so we're going to take our 1 cup of brown sugar. And I have just got, I do not have Domino or anything fancy. Just regular store brand sugar. And I'm going to put it in there. And I'm going to just start it up on slow. Now, the reason you would want to do it on slow, well, it might be a good idea to plug in your mixer too, if you like. But the reason that you're going to do it on slow is because you don't want to shoot your powdered sugar all the way over on Bruce Barnes, which you wouldn't appreciate and he'd fuss at me. So, start it on slow. Now, while that's going, I'll get my sugar out of the way here. We're going to add our white sugar to it. Now, we have got, as far as our white sugar, we have got a 1/2 cup of that. So we're going to put it in. And we're just going to put this on low until it gets smooth. It looks kind of a light brown. And this takes about 1 minute. And then we're going to, each time that goes around, we're going to flip it up just a little higher because that's why our sugar's incorporated in it. And we won't slam it all over the room. I'm not much for cleaning that, so. And while this is good, you can look and see what else you're going to have. Now here's the Philly cream cheese that I use. It's just a regular cream cheese. And we're going to let this go for about 3 minutes. So, if you want, they can come back in 3 minutes so they don't have to look at me. Okay, now, the recipe originally calls for 2 15-ounce cans of pumpkin. However, we made our own pumpkin puree. So if you don't, that's fine. You can buy cans of pumpkin. But please make sure it's not pumpkin pie filling. Make sure it's pure pureed pumpkin. So what we're going to do is one 15-ounce can, when I measured it out, it's about 2 cups of puree. So we're going to put that in our bowl. So we're going to put 4 cups of pumpkin puree that we made yesterday. Now the pumpkin puree that's left, I'm just going to freeze because I can always use it some other time. 2, 3, and 4. So that's the pumpkin we need for our pumpkin cheesecake. And we're going to set this over here, and like I say, don't throw away your pumpkin puree. Just put it in a bag, label it, and date it, and you'll have your for your next cheesecake or your next pumpkin pie. Don't throw anything away. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we got our puree here. Now, I've got pumpkin pie spice. If you prefer, you can use a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger, fourth of a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a fourth of a teaspoon of allspice. But when you look at your pumpkin pie spice, it has every bit of that in there. So what you're wanting to do, just put you a couple of teaspoons of your pumpkin pie spice. My spoon won't fit in there, so I'll have to use 4 halves. But this is just 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Now we're going to put a fourth of a teaspoon of salt in here. Now you do know that whenever you bake, you measure. You know, now I'm going to tell you, my mom and my grandma never measured. I think that during their time, that they did it so much that they just saw it on there. I myself do not. So, and I'm sorry, my nose is itching and I've got to scratch it. So, and then we're going to take and just stir this together. Get this all incorporated in there. It smells so good. You want to go for a smell first, Barnes? Okay. He is a stick in the mud, you know. Now, next thing, we're going to add our flour. This is 3 tablespoons of flour in there. Just going to mix it in with it. Okay, since I've had an itchy nose, I'm going to get my hands washed good. Wait just a second, give me a minute. Okay, now ready to go on. It's allergy season. Okay, now let's go on with our pumpkin puree. Now we're just going to stir it up. I put a fourth of a cup of flour in there. Now we're going to put the eggs in. Now, with the eggs, some of them have to be separated. So we're going to take and let me look and see which ones have to be separated and which doesn't. The egg yolks are going to go in first. So that's 2 large egg yolks. Okay, we've got the 2 large egg yolks. I'm going to stir that in. we're going to take and put this into your cheese mixture here. Now what you're wanting to do now is you're just simply wanting to mix this until it's smooth. Of course, stir it on low, because you don't want to take and splash it up on everybody. And we'll be back with you in just a second after it takes and goes all the way through. Okay, now we've got to add our next 4 eggs. And I'm a stickler with this. I always take and break and put one in at a time, and I break it in something else because you never can tell. Your eggs might not be good. Then between each addition, I stir it up. So in total, you know you've got 6 eggs in there. That's a lot of eggs. Now, you want to put your vanilla in. And that's 1 teaspoon. Now you want to put 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You are wanting to put a tablespoon of bourbon. Now this is optional, and you don't have to do this, but darn, it makes a really good cheesecake. So you can do what you want. If you're a teetotaler, and I myself am not a drinker, as a matter of fact, I think it tastes funky, but you can take and put whatever. Now just let it stir up, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, what we're going to do now is we finished beating our cheesecake mixture here. We're going to put it inside our shell. Look how pretty. Okay. Now, we have got our stove on, our oven on at 325. We have to put our cheesecake into the oven, middle rack, and you're going to let it cook for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, at 1 hour and a half, check your cheesecake. The reason to do that is because some ovens cook hotter than others, so I'm not going to tell you the exact number of what to cook your cheesecake with. Now, when we put it in there, we're going to take some boiling water and we're going to pour it down in this pan. This is going to make our cheesecake cook evenly all the way through, so you won't have any darker areas to it. And plus too, of all I've been reading, it says that on cheesecakes, if you do it this way, it will sometimes, and note I say sometimes, keep your cheesecake from cracking. And if that bothers you, which it tastes as good to me, cracked or not, I mean really. So, but anyway, I will be back with you and you'll see the finished product when we're finished. Okay, we baked our cheesecake. We took it out and we set it in the refrigerator. It's been in there for about 3 hours. Now you can either leave it all night or you can take and use it in 3 hours. Either, it doesn't matter. The longer that you hold it, the better off you're going to be. Now, make sure that you go around your cheesecake. So it'll let loose. Let's see what happens. There is your cheesecake. Let's slice it. Look at that. And that is your pumpkin cheesecake. We'll try it, see what it's like. And it is delicious. Try this for the holidays. If you wanted to, you could sprinkle some caramel on top of it, or some nuts, or some whipped cream, or whatever you like. So do your pumpkin, make pumpkin seeds, pureed pumpkin, and then take and make you a pumpkin cheesecake. We're going to put the recipe on for this pumpkin cheesecake on Facebook, or the YouTube, so you can take and look at it and see if you want to make it. Bye.